Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. It is September 28th, 2020, on a beautiful Monday morning. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. Beaten into reasonableness. One of the things that I hear a lot going on in people that I personally listen to in podcasts and in other venues, spiritual people that I really respect. Not that everyone isn't spiritual, because there's almost something really annoying about stating it that way. So I actually apologize. People that are mainly focused on the message of spirituality. That would be maybe a slightly better way of saying it. And also just people I know in my regular life. I have stated to a number of people that we are not in enough pain yet to make change. We are not in enough pain yet. And to me, it looks like so much of what is going on is paying really lip service to the fact that we need to change. Most people, including myself, are not willing to change until we are in so much pain that there is no other alternative. And that may mean taking a different course in life. It may also mean dying. Because either way, it's a spiritual death. It's the spiritual death of the old idea, being beaten into reasonableness. And that could mean physical death, but it can also mean a complete rearranging of the spiritual self. Once again, a lack of a good term, because in my opinion and my sense of the world and my sense of the universe is that this is all spiritual and we are all interconnected. And probably the biggest problem right now is that nobody feels connected to anybody else. It is ironic to me, quite frankly, that this medium that you are watching this on, you are watching this on the internet. And you're probably watching this on some social media platform, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, or you found me via Instagram or whatever. But this was supposed to, I remember very specifically in the early 90s when we started talking about the internet and how it was going to revolutionize and make us closer together and more informed. And people would know more, and there would be greater communication between everyone. And interestingly enough, the opposite has occurred. People feel more disconnected than connected. People feel angry. People have a lack of empathy for other people. Everything that we wanted more of out of a technology has actually become worse. It has made everything worse in terms of our connectedness. So I know I've gone down a bit of a rabbit hole with this in terms of staying on topic, but you've known me long enough to know that I go different directions in my conversations. Most of this is completely ad-libbed, except for what the initial concept is. And the initial concept is of the day, beaten into reasonableness. And I don't mean physically beaten, I mean spiritually beaten. I mean emotionally beaten into reasonableness. And I know for myself, I have never taken an action without, on some level, being beaten down into reasonableness. My life spiraled out of control a number of times in my life, one of them in the mid-'80s, and I was spiritually beaten down into a state of reasonableness, and my life changed forever at that moment, and has radically changed since that time. And if I hadn't had done that, the spiritual beaten down into reasonableness would have been death, physical death. Either one of which, by the way, is okay. However, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that I did it the way that I did it. And I realize that it's really hurting these days. People are hurting in ways that they may have never hurt before. It's really serious, and I know part of it is the loss of community. And in the middle of this pandemic, people are feeling a loss of community in a way that is beyond distressful to people. I was speaking with a friend whose partner passed away. She was telling me about him and his experience. And he was in rehabilitation, and she finally got them to release him and bring him home. And he died a couple of weeks later. But what I said about it was that, thank goodness that happened, because he got to die at home with her and some relatives by his bedside. So he had a community of people. And a lot of people are dying right now in care facilities with no family and friends around. And a lot of people are dying at home these days because nobody can come. And yet we are, as a society, not beaten down yet into a state of reasonableness. We're not there yet. And I assure you that until we get there, change will be very slow. And I know that people are saying, yeah, well, except that, we have all of these climate things going on. Well, yeah, we just burned over 2 million acres of land in the state of California alone. Thousands of people left without homes. Still not far enough into a state of reasonableness. Still not far enough. There are societies and countries that are having a better high bottom about this stuff. The Scandinavian countries are taking a lot more action in regards to almost everything of societal ills without having to go to the low bottoms that other countries are, including the United States. I'm glad for them. I'm glad for the people that can hit a higher bottom in terms of the spiritual beaten down into a state of reasonableness. Our country is not one of them. Sorry to say. So we have work to do. And that doesn't mean just sit on the side. But let's not have a lot of expectation that things are going to change really quickly, because change occurs when we are beaten down into a state of reasonableness, not beaten down by shame, which is what all the liberals are doing, trying to beat everybody down with shame. That doesn't change anything. That's actually making it worse. I talked about the other day how the left has been so bad in this situation. And the fact that we're even having a conversation about left and right and nothing in between and no conversation means that we have completely lost community. We have lost community. And that's why we're in pain. And until we get that, until we're beaten into a state where we understand that community is the number one thing, nothing's going to change. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée.